A cold February night in 1978, with a moonlit highway winding through the snowy Sierra Nevada mountains. A vintage turquoise and white 1969 Mercury Montego is parked under dim streetlights outside a 1970s-style gas station. 5 young men are seen stepping into the car, laughing and holding snacks. Show: Jack Madruga, 30. Tall, serious ex-Army vet, wearing a brown bomber jacket, car keys in hand, driver. Gary Mathias, 25. Alert, smart-looking, with glasses and a calm expression, dressed in a military surplus coat. Ted Wire, 32. Cheerful and talkative, round face, smiling, holding a chocolate milk bottle. Bill Sterling, 29. Reserved and religious, thin, neat hair, holding Hostess pies. Jackie Hewitt, 24. Youngest, innocent, wearing a beanie and gloves, clutches a candy bar. Style: cinematic realism, 1970s color tones, snowy roadside atmosphere, soft shadows from moonlight, slight lens flare. Mood: nostalgic, calm, subtly ominous. A cozy 1970s suburban backyard in Yuba City, California, filled with soft sunlight. 5 young men are playing basketball in casual sportswear, their faces lit up with laughter and energy. A vintage 1960s Mercury Montego is parked nearby on the driveway. Include name overlays near each character and show their key traits. Jack Madruga, focused, reliable, leading the play with quiet authority. Gary Mathias, energetic, mentally sharp, laughing mid-pass. Ted Wire, clapping, full of joy and warmth. Bill Sterling, hesitant but smiling, enjoying the moment. Jackie Hewitt, bouncing excitedly, eyes wide with admiration. Style: sunlit film look, mid-70s color grade, realistic faces and outfits. Mood: uplifting, nostalgic, a close-knit bond, youthful energy. A long, empty highway just before dawn, with mist creeping over the asphalt and faint tire tracks disappearing into fog. The Mercury Montego is nowhere in sight. Only a single glove lies on the road shoulder, half covered in frost. Inside a modest home, a mother stands in a dim kitchen, dialing a rotary phone with trembling fingers. The room is lit by a lone bulb, casting harsh shadows on the floral wallpaper. Superimposed map in the corner shows Chico, Yuba City, normal route. But a blinking red trail veers northeast into the wilderness. Twist: on the misty road in the background, faint ghost-like headlights shimmer and vanish into thin air. Mood: tense, haunting. Something isn't right. And the silence is growing louder. A snowy mountain road in Plumas National Forest, isolated and silent. The turquoise and white Mercury Montego sits half-buried in snow, doors ajar, windshield frosted. One glove hangs from the handle. No footprints lead away. The car's condition appears undisturbed, as if it was placed there. Inside, maps, wrappers, a ticket stub from the game. But no keys. In the rearview mirror, faintly visible, a reflection of a woman holding a baby appears, then fades. Style: muted tones, overcast skies, heavy forest shadows. Mood: cold, unnatural stillness, like time has stopped. A snow-covered roadside at midnight. Joseph Shones's car steams, stranded near the edge. Inside, Shones slumps over the wheel, pale and clutching his chest. Through the windshield, strange figures appear. 5 silhouettes on the slope below, and a woman cradling a baby. One figure gestures. Another holds a flickering flashlight. Behind them stands a tall, faceless figure casting no shadow. Twist: the flashlight beams form a cross pattern, then vanish. Mood: surreal and terrifying, like a fever dream breaking into reality. A dilapidated Forest Service trailer deep in the woods, nearly hidden beneath melting snow. Inside, Ted Wire lies on a rusted cot, wrapped in torn gray blankets. His long beard and frost-bitten face speak of weeks alone. Beside him, a half-eaten sea ration, a broken watch, and a military can opener. He's wearing layers that may not be his, a hint someone else was there. On the wall, written faintly in soot, help. Mood. Crushing isolation, slow death, haunting silence. A forest clearing under weak daylight. A melted snow patch reveals part of a man's spine, scattered clothes, and a pair of empty boots, all belonging to Jackie Hewitt. His remains are separated by meters, suggesting animals or something else. Nearby, a flashlight with no batteries, teeth marks on clothing, and a childlike drawing etched into the bark of a pine tree. Mood. Sad, eerie, as if he died confused and afraid, not alone. Under an overpass near the snow line, a search party uncovers scattered bones belonging to Bill Sterling. His pants are folded neatly nearby, untouched by animals. Gary Mathias's shoes are found next to them, dry, clean, placed deliberately. Twist, a crumpled Polaroid of all 5 boys is found in Sterling's jacket, showing a 6th person, face burned out by overexposure. Mood, unsettling precision, as if someone arranged the scene. A hospital records room dimly lit, filled with green metal phi. Vanished. When rescue came the next day, the snow was deep. Shones survived. But he never forgot what he saw. And neither would anyone else. The Mercury Montego was discovered the following day, stranded miles from the main road, deep in the Plumas National Forest. Snow had already begun to bury it. Its front tires were partially sunk in a drift, but there was no sign of damage. No indication it had swerved, hit anything, or been forced to stop. The doors were unlocked. The keys, gone. One glove still hung from the door handle. Inside the car were fast food wrappers, a neatly folded map, and a basketball program from the Chico State game. On the back seat lay snack packaging, chocolate milk, pies, wrappers. Nothing was out of place, nothing seemed stolen, but there were no footprints, not a single trail in the snow leading away from the car. It was as if they had stepped out and simply vanished. The engine had enough gas. The battery worked. So why abandon the car? And why here, 30 miles off their planned route, at elevations none of them were dressed for? On a rugged mountain road they had no reason to travel? Jack Madruga never liked the cold. He wouldn't have driven up there for fun. Gary Mathias knew the area, but this road led to nowhere, only deeper into forest, into isolation. Investigators began to ask questions, but for every answer, 2 new mysteries appeared. Then the weather turned. Snowstorms swept over the region, covering the mountains with thick, silent blankets of white. For days, search crews combed the forest on foot, on snowmobiles, in helicopters. But visibility was poor. The terrain was unforgiving, and hope began to fade. 2 months passed. Then, as spring approached, the snow began to melt, and with it, the forest began to reveal its secrets. It was a ranger, making a routine check near an old Forest Service trailer, who first smelled the decay. Inside, lying on a metal cot, covered in a thin gray army blanket, was the body of Ted Wire. His beard had grown thick. His skin showed signs of frostbite and starvation. He had been alive, not for days, but possibly for weeks, maybe even over 2 months. He had made it to shelter, but he had never lit the fireplace. In a cabinet just feet away, searchers found sea rations, cans of food, unopened. Ted had eaten only a few. Perhaps he didn't know how to open them. But next to his body was a military-issued P-38 can opener, likely belonging to Gary. There were extra clothes on Ted's body, clothes that weren't his. One pair of pants belonged to Gary Mathias. It seemed he had not died alone. And on the wall, faintly written in soot above the cot, was a single word: help. The silence in the trailer was overwhelming, as if sound itself had frozen months ago. Back in the forest, as snow continued to melt, other remains were found, scattered across a wide radius. In a clearing, a section of melted snow revealed something terrible. Pieces of bone, a spine, and a small pair of boots. The clothes matched those worn by Jackie Hewitt, the youngest of the five. But his body had been torn apart, not neatly, not fully. His remains were separated by meters. Next to the site was a flashlight. The batteries were missing, the casing cracked, and carved into the bark of a nearby pine tree was a crude drawing, childlike, almost innocent. Some believed animals had scattered Jackie's remains, others weren't so sure. Nearby, a more chilling discovery. Under an overpass, half hidden by rocks and brush, were bones later identified as Bill Sterling. Oddly, his pants were neatly folded nearby, untouched by animals or weather. Placed, and beside them were Gary Mathias's tennis shoes, dry, clean, left with care. The final discovery came with a Polaroid found in Bill's jacket. It was a photo of the five boys, laughing, arms around each other, but in the background stood a sixth figure, unidentifiable, its face blurred by light, burned out by overexposure. Who took the picture? Where was it taken? And more importantly, who was the sixth? Back in town, investigators turned to Gary Mathias, the only one whose body had never been found, the only one who might have still been alive. They opened old records, piecing together his past. In a hospital records room, under the dim light of a flickering desk lamp, they found his file. The name on the folder was typed cleanly: Mathias Gary, paranoid schizophrenia. Inside were notes from therapists, prescriptions, gaps in dosage history, mentions of missed appointments, episodes. A mugshot showed Gary in uniform, smiling, but not fully. There was something in his eyes. One side of his mouth was curled up, the other not. A yellow sticky note had been attached to the inside of the folder. Last seen, February 24th, 1978. Detectives wondered. Had Gary suffered an episode? Had he led the others astray? Or was he a victim, like the rest? In the dusty office of one detective, long since retired, an old board still hangs, string-tied pins crisscrossing a map of the Sierra Nevadas. The normal Chico-Yuba route is clearly marked, but a red thread loops wildly away from it, leading straight into the wilderness, and then looping back. On the desk, under a cracked ashtray, lay a cassette tape labeled Mathias, Confession. Next to it, a partially burned letter, edges charred, beginning with the words, "We weren't supposed to go." A single Polaroid was pinned on the corkboard above. It showed all five boys standing in front of the Mercury Montego, but behind them, shadowed in the tree line, was a sixth shape, dark, tall, hard to define, circled in red ink. Some investigators dismissed it, called it shadow play. Others weren't so sure. Back in the mountains, the temporary investigation base had been set up in an old, abandoned ranger station. The air inside was cold, even with the heater running. On a chalkboard were scrawled phrases like, "Why no footprints? Why abandon a working car? Who was with them?" A forensic technician shuffled through the Polaroids again. In one, Ted Wire was staring at something, or someone, just outside the frame. His face held confusion, not fear, like he was trying to understand. In another, Jackie appeared to be talking, smiling, but the person he was talking to wasn't there. The photos felt off, like moments from dreams, too vivid, too unfinished. And then a new witness came forward. In a small diner, unchanged since the 1970s, a waitress recalled something strange. The jukebox was off, and the front lights dimmed. As she stepped out to lock the doors for the night, she looked across the snow-covered street. There, in the glow of a single flickering streetlight, were five figures, backs turned, standing perfectly still in the alley mist. She blinked. They were gone. She'd heard the stories, of course, but she swore it was them. Meanwhile, in a local newsroom, the headline read, "4 bodies found, one still missing. Pinned to the wall nearby was a whiteboard filled with theories. Alien abduction? Cult activity? Wrong turn? Each one scratched out in black marker. All except one name. Gary? At the center of the board, a photo. Gary in uniform, smiling. Again, the same smile. But his eyes, darker, sharper. Then, the power flickered. On the wall behind the board, scrawled in shaky handwriting, someone had written, "I'm still here."